here's what I wanted to ask you. As a writer yourself, all right, if you had the reins of Game of Thrones, structurally, what ending would you have, or choice-wise, I should say, what would you have done personally for you to maximize, what would have made it your favorite ending? What did you want to happen? Out of those 450 choices, what did you want?
For Jon to be king.
You wanted Jon to be king?
That's where his his character was leading to. Of course, that's the obvious choice. I'm sure nobody thought that was going to happen, but for me personally, I would have wrote him being, the king.
Okay.
I like the way Dany flipped.
Yeah.
Of course, it should have took a little longer to do that. Even though she showed signs of it, but him killing her was, I like that. But for him to be king, I would have liked that. I like the White Walker stuff, how that ended. Yeah. I was satisfied with that.
Right.
Well,
okay. Not even satisfied though. What would you have wanted? Is it how it is now? How it ended right now? Is that how you personally would have written it, or would you have done it a different way?
Me personally would have written it. I would have written
like, how do you want it in your heart? Like in your, how would you have wanted the White Walker stuff to happen?
The way they, you see, I would have had the White Walkers take out Cersei and her army.
You mean just go past Winterfell?
Yeah, because she had in her mind, okay, we'll let the dead deal with them, and then we'll come, afterwards. I would have had, not kill her. I would have had, probably Arya kill Cersei, have her escape or something like that. But I would have had the White Walkers storm King's Landing. And then they just kind of take over right there, just kind of settle in, and then wait for Jon and them to come to them. I would have done
with the dragons.
With the dragons.
So you're saying they just go past, like they're
waiting.
They're waiting
at Winterfell. I would have had the White Walkers. No, we think we're gonna go King's Landing, and we're gonna set up shop here.
How does that track from the rest of the story? So, like, if you had to end the show, okay, with that story happening, with Cersei leaving and all that, how do you end the show? So you're saying they get to the King's Landing, all the heroes, and they have to attack the White Walkers at King's Landing. And do they win?
Yes, they win.
So they win.
Jon kills Night King. Jon takes the crown. Arya, you put me on the spot. I never thought about this because, like I said, I was satisfied.
I agree. But they had 2 years. You have 30 seconds. I'm just saying, off the top.
Yeah, I would have had probably Cersei escape with the mountain. Go through the tunnels and escape somewhere.
Right.
And in their escape, they pass Jon and the army coming at Winterfell, and then that happens.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah, I would have liked that.
And okay, so the very end of that scenario, what happens? So the very end, in your story, how does it end? So Jon ends up king. Mm-hmm. Cersei ends up dead. You think Arya kills her?
Arya kills Cersei. Of course, in
your story,
the Hound kills Mountain, of course. But the Hound survives.
Yes.
I don't like
the Hound survives to become a better person, just chopping wood.
Exactly.
Honestly, the Hound going with Arya on her ventures to the west would have been pretty fucking cool.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, that would have been dope. But
it's a little.
The Hound could have pushed him. He didn't have to. Right? He could have just.
The Hound dies in fire, though. It's pretty cool.
It was poetic, but.
Okay.
But yeah, like the second to the last episode, Cersei dies at the hands of Arya.
Where does Tyrion end up?
I don't know. I mean, he's been just kind of a background character the last 2 seasons.
That's a huge problem for me.
They kind of threw him in there the last few episodes to kind of say, "Oh, we forgot Tyrion is the big star of the show." One of the big stars. But I mean, you didn't really hear much of him. He was just there. Right. Like, I don't understand. It's like, especially what my biggest problem last season. Oh, I can't remember the episode when Jaime was charging at Dany and the dragon. Remember that? And Tyrion's there at that battle. Why is he at that battle? Like, how is he?
He's fighting for Cersei. He's like head
Why
of
is
Cersei's
Tyrion?
army. Oh, you mean Tyrion?
Tyrion.
Right.
Why is Tyrion at the top with the Dothraki?
I don't remember. I have to rewatch it.
Yeah. But when he sees Jaime charging at the battle, he's like, "No, don't do that, you stupid idiot."
Right.
Like, why is he there? Like, it's just they just throwing him in there into these scenes,
right?
And
not a logical way. Just
no, it's just
a lot of that.
We got to put him somewhere. Let's throw him in here. Let's throw him in.
I feel like a lot of the show is like that, where it's like the Jaime and Euron Greyjoy fight. Now that is kind of exactly that idea of he just strolls out of the fucking water. I'm fucking soggy, and then Jaime just walks up and then they fight, and I'm like, how convenient is that? I don't know. It's like I think a lot of the problems people had with it is
that's the way
convenience.
That's the way he should have died, by Jaime's hand, of course, but not that way, and not. I mean,
just in a kind of random one-on-one fight. Yeah.
That should have happened like at the beginning of the season or something.
Yeah, and him and Brienne of Tarth having that moment, and then he's just like, "No, I'm actually a terrible person. I'm out of here." In half a scene, you're just like, that look on your face tells it all. And we like it, and we're apologizing for it, and still it's
I'll still grade the entire series an A+ though.
A+? That's the next question I was going to ask was the whole series. I would rate it very high, ending notwithstanding. I still think the ending wasn't bad. Most shows, they don't even bother to give you closure. They just are like, maybe stuff happens.
Maybe I'm being too generous. Maybe I'll give it an A. It's a solid A.
A solid A.
Yeah, it's a solid A.
Game of Thrones. The fact that we're even having this feverish discussion about it, and the whole world's on fire about it. No pun intended. It's just a matter of. It's everybody has their idea of what Game of Thrones is, and maybe that's a good thing, because there's a lot of movies and shows out there where you're like, it couldn't have ended any other way. Oh, the Jon. I was going to comment on that. The Jon Snow thing. Jon Snow being on the throne. The Hollywood way to end that, the Lord of the Rings way to end it, is Jon Snow sits on the Iron Throne. He fights the Night King. The armies triumph. They have the big Lord of the Rings battle. Yeah. They throw the ring in, but really the ring is killing the Night King and becoming king. Which Lord of the Rings moment, by the way, the fucking.
I feel like the cliche way would have been a lot better.
Well, it's more crowd pleasing.
Yeah, and people wouldn't have been. They would have been like, oh, whatever. They wouldn't have been as mad.
Yeah.
As they are now.
I think so too.
Like you said, you could have 1,000 endings, and there's 1,000 ways to end it.
Yeah.
Like Bran, I didn't think Bran would. That just
people are so pissed off about that.
Yeah, I'm not like.
Oh no!